Sponsored by our friends at Nice Day, a creative marketing agency headquartered here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Queen City Unleashed. I am Shea Olushina, and thank you so much for joining us in 2026. We're already underway. We're in the middle of our next series. If you remember our Camp North End one that we did last year, we're in another one right now with NoDa, so go make sure you check out the first episode. But today we're really excited for the episode. The guests that we have here today, some of the biggest names in food here in Charlotte. We have Jamie Brown and Jeff Tonidandel. I've been practicing that to make sure I got it right.
You did a good job. You nailed it.
They are the co-owners of Tonidandel-Brown Restaurant Group. You have probably eaten in one of their many restaurants, 3 of which just recently got added to the Michelin recommended guide for Charlotte. So congratulations, that is awesome. We are shooting in one of them, Habberdish, right now, one of my personal favorites of their many amazing restaurants. You can also find them on Fork and Hammer, their TV show, and the Jeff and Jamie Feeds podcast. Welcome to Queen City Unleashed.
Thank you for having us. We're so glad to be here. Thanks for coming to NoDa.
I'm excited to be here. NoDa is a very interesting place to me, and when I tell people, they're like, what is NoDa? I'm like, it's kind of like our artsy, be what you want district of Charlotte, and that's cool.
That's why we're here, and that's why we love being a part of the neighborhood.
Okay.
When we first were looking at restaurants, this guy basically decided that he didn't want to go to work in a suit jacket or anything. He wanted to just wear a T-shirt, and this was the place to do it.
Uptown was not for me.
You're right.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll get to this later. One thing that I appreciate, we were at Supperland within the last month for our anniversary. We've been together 10 years, and we're like, let's go to Supperland. And there was a gentleman in there in a ball cap. And some people would get really annoyed by that. I was so happy. I said, I love the fact that you can get incredible, some of the best food in the city, and you don't have to put on a suit for it. It's not the New Yorks or Chicagos where the nice restaurants, everyone just dressed up like. The vibe is beautiful, the food is great, and the company is good. You don't have to be dressed to the nines.
And same with our waitstaff at a lot of places, that we have a pretty loose dress code. They have aprons that they wear, but they're wearing jeans and coming to your table with just a white shirt on and their apron, and they might have a full sleeve of tattoos. They can, they have a lot of liberties of how they want to dress beyond that, and they have to come to the table and know their stuff. They don't have white gloves and a tuxedo to hide behind. So that's kind of our motto is if you're going to show up at the table like that, you better be prepared and ready to roll.
Which I appreciate, because for me, I also think, and I've been to some really nice, you got to dress up restaurants, but I feel like immediately it makes the environment more relaxed. Like when I get to come in and the staff is dressed this way, now I don't feel like I have to eat perfect or do everything perfect, because the staff doesn't give that vibe. It's, hey, we're here to serve you a great dish. Our waiter at Supperland was fantastic, very friendly, and he's just like, hey guys, if you haven't been here before, let me walk you through the menu. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yes, it's warm and friendly, not pretentious.
Yes, not pretentious.
We can make it pretentious. There's a lot of ways we can do that. If you get yourself super high-priced steak and get the best wine we have on the menu, we've got lots of options like that. We have people who come literally dressed in almost like gowns and drapes, and they look gorgeous and, ready to go to a show or a formal event. But yes, there's also people there in a printed T-shirt, and it's beautiful to see the mix of people come together, and everybody's there for delicious food and warm hospitality.
Yeah, that is one thing I've noticed, especially we're here at Habberdish. A buddy of mine came to lunch a couple months ago, and I'd just been going through it, and he was like, hey, let's go to lunch. And we were here, and I cannot remember the waiter's name, but he's one of the best waiters we've had in Charlotte. Middle of the day on a Friday, we're cracking jokes with him.
Was it Will?
Maybe
it was Will.
I couldn't.
He's always here at lunch.
I couldn't.
He's funny.
But
anyway.
we're cracking up, and just great service, and the food, the chicken. My buddy hadn't been, so I was bringing him, and he was like, this fried chicken's incredible. I was like, I know. I'm not going to take you to a bad place. But at the end, you guys bring out the nice warm towels. Well, we just kept talking, and we forgot to use it. And so he came by, and because we'd been joking, he gives us a hard time, goes, wow. So I bring you a really beautiful, nice, warm towel. Now you've let it get cold. I was like, oh, no, I'll use it. He goes, it's too late. Now I got to go get you another one. He's like, you did this. He's like, don't let it happen again. And we literally were just cracking up when we left. And we're like, we hope we get to come back and see him. Because that just, again, amazing food, but it can be fun and relaxed and, just a great environment.
I bet that was Will, if I had to guess.
It sounds like it.
But that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. And yes, having those little touches especially when you eat a chicken sandwich that's pretty hefty.
Mm-hmm.
And if you make it a Nashville hot chicken sandwich, you got all this stuff. You got slaw on there and everything, and it's a mouthful. So sometimes you need to dab your mouth.
Which I appreciate. That's such a small thing as a customer that I joke with people now that I'm realizing I'm becoming an old man. Like there are certain things that my dad used to complain about or appreciate. And I'm like, dude, you're just being so old. And now I'm like, I get it. Because you're right. If I'm eating a chicken sandwich, do I really want to have to get up and go wash my hands every time I need to stop? It's like, no, the nice, warm, wet cloth there to clean my hands up. I'm like, this is fantastic. I don't know why more people don't do this, but you guys have cornered the game in that way.
I love when I get the call and it's an investment banker friend, and they have clients or their partners come in from New York, and this is where they want to go, and they want to bring everybody here, and they could spend as much money as they want anywhere in the city, and Habberdish for dinner is, it's not the price point of a steakhouse or some of the other places. So I love when they choose here and they come and
because you're still getting all homemade food. I mean, that chicken goes through an 8-hour brine.
So
Everything's
good.
homemade. And it's just delicious and hearty.
I had this somewhere later on, but I will tell you personally, out of all restaurants that I've eaten in Charlotte that have fried chicken, and it's not because I'm sitting in front of you, I really think this is the best fried chicken like in Charlotte.
We agree with you.
It
Thank
is
you.
fantastic. We did, we had a shoot somewhere around here, I think, and we're like, let's go run and grab dinner. Or no, we finished a date night. That's what it was. We had a date night at Hot Glass Alley, who will be a part of this NoDa series. And then we were like, let's go get food. And we came over here, and I was like, man, this chicken just hits home.
It's
like
good.
every time. Like you guys have perfected it. But okay, we'll get to food in the restaurants. And
Someone needs dinner, don't you? You're
so
hungry.
We got to go pick up, run some errands after this. We'll get there. I already trying to figure it out. You have tacos, and now I need a brainstorm. So, Charlotte. How did you guys end up here in Charlotte? Let's start there.
I feel like it really started. I mean, both of us went to Davidson College.
Okay.
So it's up the road, exit 30 on 77, small liberal arts school.
The home of Steph Curry.
Home of Steph Curry. That's right. Everybody knows it
home
now.
of Jamie Brown.
And Jeff Tonidandel.
Yeah, I played basketball at Davidson, and Jeff played tennis. So we
okay.
went through, the whole recruiting process and everything, and ended up down here. We never dated when we were at Davidson. We started dating afterward, and I guess it was through the process of grad school and finding jobs and all that kind of stuff. It led Jeff here to Charlotte to work for a NASCAR team. I feel like you should maybe talk about that since you're more. It's your story.
After graduate school, I did a little stint out in California to be closer to Jamie while she was in grad school.
Okay.
But then just decided that this was a great place and a up-and-coming town, and I think we chose well. So I came here to work for a NASCAR team in sponsorship, and had a really fun job kind of starting my career out, and have just loved Charlotte.
Yeah, as he was here for a couple years, I was finishing up business school out in Arizona.
Okay.
And I went to the University of Arizona, another Wildcat school.
Double Wildcat.
Double
Very
Wildcat.
interesting.
I know.
Wildcat.
I don't know, but it was. I loved the weather out there in Tucson. Very different. It's the desert. But when I was thinking about, okay, I'm about to graduate from business school. Where do I want to go? At first I was like wanting to work for like Nike, some sort of sports apparel company or something, because that
That'd be
was
fun.
that would be
Jeff
so fun.
or Nike?
Yeah, but then I was like, oh my gosh, if we're going to see if this is going to work, because we
Yeah.
had been trying long distance, then I should probably move where he is.
Give it a shot.
Give it a shot. So I started looking for jobs in Charlotte and ended up at one of the most quintessential Charlotte companies, which at the time was known as Lance Snack Foods. So,
Oh my goodness, the peanut butter crackers.
the peanut butter
Yes.
crackers.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Known very fondly in the South as Nabs. I don't know if you know that.
I'm
They're
from
known as
Virginia,
Nabs.
which is
Okay.
technically the South, but I don't think we call them nabs.
No, you probably didn't. I'm from Pittsburgh. We ate them too, but we did not call them nabs. But here in
Okay.
Charlotte, you call them nabs. But the Lance family had started that way back in like 1913, and around like peanut butter, the idea of peanut butter. They would sell peanuts and snacks. They started making these peanut butter crackers. Anyway, the Lance brand was born. Many, many, many years later, I end up working there. So,
way.
yeah. So, but they had a number of brands. So I was on the Lance brand for a little while, and then the Cape Cod brand too. They own Cape Cod potato chips. I know you know that one.
Yes,
out of
now
Hyannis.
the logo is coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, Cape Cod potatoes, they do kettle chips.
Yeah.
So you can find them in the grocery stores. They also own that brand. But since then, it has been acquired by, it was merged with Snyder's Lance and then was bought by Campbell's as well. So it's
Okay.
had a number of turnovers. They're now located in Ballantyne. But I worked for that company when it was on South Boulevard when we were part of the manufacturing plant as well. So I loved
way.
it, loved being there. And now I feel like it's so interesting because, he was in NASCAR, which is so Charlotte, and I was with Lance Snacks, which is so Charlotte, and now
And now the both of you are so Charlotte.
we're just merging in with the whole scene. So
Man, okay, fun tidbit. I was just in Pittsburgh.
Oh.
My dad, brother, and I do a father-son sports trip every year. So go to a city,
It's a
watch
good
sports,
city.
hang out, just
Yeah.
the guys. And my brother's in grad school at Carnegie Mellon right now.
Wow,
It's a
smart.
year. Yeah, he's very smart.
Yeah.
Very, very smart. He was working for 4 years after undergrad. Then he's like, I'm going to go get this master's for a year. And then, so because of that, we're like, we'll travel to you. So we went for the Pitt Notre Dame game and spent the weekend up there. The sports was fun. Pittsburgh's a very interesting city.
Did you end up in the Strip District? Where'd you go?
We did. We got to the Strip District eventually. I just think I didn't realize this, and my brother was educating, and you're from Pittsburgh, so you could probably give a better
Well.
answer. He was saying that Pittsburgh is more considered the Midwest, and Philly is still East Coast.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which
Pittsburgh
was
is
very
Midwest.
mind-boggling to me that a state would be split. But then geographically, I looked at it, I'm like, okay, this does make sense. But I never thought of Pittsburgh being Midwest, because I think Pennsylvania is
Very
big Philly.
Midwest. Very
Pittsburgh,
Midwest.
Cleveland, very similar.
For sure. And so Jeff's from Cleveland. And
Ah.
so he's a Brownies fan.
Yeah.
And I'm a Steelers fan. So it's kind of been a little bit of a thing.
You're also,
but-
that means you're also probably an Ohio State fan.
Yeah, a little secondary though. I think in Cleveland, you're more of a professional sports fan,
Okay.
having the Guardians and Cavaliers and,
Okay,
and
okay.
Browns. And so then the Ohio State thing's a secondary
Okay.
kind of thing.
We'll stick with that. I'm a little wounded. I'm from Michigan, so I'm a little wounded.
There you go.
The
So you
outcome.
enjoyed Pittsburgh. You enjoyed your time.
Yeah, it really is time with my dad and brother is really what makes it so much fun. And
For
it's one of those cities that if not for my brother being there, I probably never would have gotten to Pittsburgh because truthfully, I don't hear a lot of people say, hey, let's go to Pittsburgh for a weekend. Here's Charlotte, which is better. Now we're climbing on that list, but
Pittsburgh's really interesting because it's known as a city with an entrance because there's Mount Washington there. And if you come from the south side of the area, you basically go through the Fort Pitt tunnels and then it opens up into the city. And there are over 300 some bridges there because it's 3 rivers that all come
Yep.
together there. And I mean, it's beautiful. It's got amazing history. There's amazing little neighborhoods and restaurants. And I mean, it's changed so much since I lived there so long ago.
we did
But-
the little trolley thing to go up there.
incline,
Yeah,
yeah.
the incline.
Yeah.
We did the incline, and my dad loves like the rivers flowing, so he was spitting out a whole bunch of facts. I'm like, how do you know this? He's like, well, I was looking it up. We're coming here, and he was like very excited. But coming out the
that.
tunnel, my brother picked me up from the airport. We're coming out the tunnel. I see the bridges, and I literally stopped mid-conversation. I'm like, all right, now this is beautiful.
It's
Like
so
this is
neat.
really,
It's
really
so
cool.
interesting.
Pretty cool.
It's different. It's
So,
very different.
all right, well then, the incline water bridges in Pittsburgh. What are some of our landmark things here in Charlotte?
Habberdish.
Outside of food.
Supperland.
Outside of
Outside
food.
of food.
Outside of
NoDa.
food.
Well, I think it's been tough for Charlotte to know what to do. We don't have water,
Yeah.
which is a big thing. I think a lot of Charlotte is defined by its neighborhoods. We have the sprinkling of, there's Center City, there's NoDa, there's Plaza Midwood, there's Dilworth, South End, all these
West
different.
Side,
Elizabeth, there's all these cute little neighborhoods. I think that's a big part of it. I also think the Whitewater Center adds a really interesting, different aspect to the city. What else would you say?
I mean, the neighborhoods are always the biggest for me of what kind of makes up the city and all the different personalities. And I love that you can, walk a
So
mile
walkable,
and you're
yeah.
in a different neighborhood.
Yep.
It has a different feel. It has a different vibe. It has different restaurants, and I think that's the coolest part. But I think us finding our identity is one of the reasons we're not a big tourist city. So Jamie and I like to say that Charlotte is a city of hospitality.
Just trying to make this a thing.
Yeah, and we're trying to
I'm
make it a
intrigued.
thing that the people here are really nice and warm and welcoming, and everyone's welcome. And that's
I think
kind
partly
of a part
that's
of
because it's a lot of people there, a lot of transplants,
Yeah.
and people are open and willing to talk to other people. And we find, and we've eaten restaurants all over the world. We eat, in a lot of different cities, and it's hard to find cities that have better service than Charlotte does. We think. Now, we might be biased because we go to our restaurants and we see the warmth from our team. We hear, the reviews, what people say about it. And we think that's something that's a really big thing here in Charlotte.
Yeah.
We have a very warm
A city of hospitality.
culture.
Yeah.
What do you think?
We
What's
just
your
coined
take
that
on that?
right here.
I think I agree because oftentimes when I ask people, they'll say that everyone is friendly for that reason because we're all from somewhere else and trying to make friends and get to meet people. But when I think of the things that do stand out, I compare us, so from Virginia originally, went to Virginia Tech, and so a lot of my friends live in the DC, Arlington area. My wife lived up that way before we got married. And so I compare Charlotte and kind of like the age of Charlotte and what it has going on in the neighborhoods to Arlington. And so the difference though, that I always tell people is like, Charlotte's just nicer than Arlington is. And by that, I mean the people. Arlington's got a bustle of like, we're all very corporate, hear about our jobs and like moving up the ladder and all that. And Charlotte's mix is like a whole bunch of professionals. We're kind of also just enjoying life. Like when you are here on a Thursday or a Tuesday in the summer and back with Old Sycamore, any of these breweries, and they're packed on a Tuesday, it's not about like working the extra late hours to climb the ladder. It's like, hey, we worked hard and now we're just gonna go hang out with our friends.
Yes, I think a lot of people choose Charlotte because it is a step back from some of those super financially driven cities like in New York City that is very much about the hustle and bustle. You come here because, you now have 2 kids and you can't afford to buy a house and enough space, so you come here and maybe there's a little bit of a calmness that comes to your life. And I think that's something that really attracts people here. But that said, I do think that Charlotte is in a little bit of a place where it is trying to figure itself out, for sure. I mean, we lean into that hospitality piece, perhaps somewhat in a self-serving way. But
It's probably a good thing that you do.
but I don't think it's not just our restaurants. It's restaurants in general around the city. It's not just our places, and it's also just the community and the neighborhoods and everything that maybe that's something we can lean into.
I mean, it's crazy that this town is it's a trading post town. It's a town that people stopped in to get somewhere else. So having some reasons for people to stay and hang out, it's the hospitality.
I also will say, and this is really selfish, and I'm not one of the people who says don't come to Charlotte, we're full. So I want to caveat my next statement by that. I don't believe that. But I will say kind of that hospitality piece. I don't want you to come to Charlotte if you're not going to be open-minded to what Charlotte is. I don't like when people come to Charlotte and want us to be Atlanta, Chicago, New York. We're not that. The word you were saying, like, take a step back, our word for Charlotte has always been pace. We're a much slower paced city than a lot of other cities. Like, everything doesn't have to be a million miles an hour. Everything doesn't have to be hyped up all the time. Like, I feel like you go to a lot of big cities and everything is like, this is the greatest thing, and it's like, Charlotte's like, we have a lot of really good and cool, great things, and we don't have to be super hyped about them all the time. And the pace of it, I feel like, is calming and relaxing. So I want people to come and visit, but understand, like, if you're looking for your weekend trip where it's go, 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 maybe not the place for you, but if you want a nice staycation.
It's easy here, though. It's easy to get around. It's easy to get to a lot of different spots. And I think that's what makes it such a wonderful place to live, but that makes it a great place to visit.
Yeah. We had some friends visit. We're always trying to convince our friends to move down here. And we're somewhere in Plaza Midwood. I can't remember where we started, but straight down the road from Supperland. So going out from Supperland, the Harris Teeter, past the Dave's Hot Chicken, down that road. And we just walked in the neighborhoods. And it was the first time we had done it with our friends. And we're like, Charlotte's got so many neighborhoods. We've been here 5 years and we're still discovering new streets. And like, it's a great way to spend a Saturday morning. Like, it's just, we're hanging out. There's no motive for it. We're just taking a walk.
Oh, absolutely. I think I really only notice the slower pace here when I step away and then come back, because, you go to New York City and you're like, oh my gosh, pick it up. Like, we've got to, we're losing it on the sidewalk. We got to keep moving. We got to go faster. You come here and I notice when someone honks a horn, because we just generally don't do that.
In New York, you tone it out.
You tone it out. I notice when I come to a light, if the person in front of me is clearly on their cell phone and not moving past a certain amount, I'll do the little double friendly toot, toot, toot. You know what I mean? And that's
Wait,
acceptable.
okay. I was just talking about this.
You know
How
what I
long
mean?
do you wait? I came up with a new rule for myself because I
I'd
never
like
want to
to
be.
hear it. I don't know if
never
I'm
want to be
mathematical about
aggressive, and I'm always a person's like they're probably distracted, and I've probably been that person before when I shouldn't have
For
been.
sure. I'm totally forgiving.
So
but
when
you
the light
gotta-
turns green, I give them 3 whole counts. 1, 2.
It's like rushing the passer. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
Seriously. And if at that point, if at 3 you haven't started going, then I'm like, beep, hey, please.
that's-
It's your duty also to the people behind you.
Right, exactly.
Because you're not the holdup.
Exactly.
Let's get this
How,
train
how
moving.
terrible is this? My car just updated the software, and it added in.
He has an electric
I have an
vehicle.
electric vehicle. It added in a new feature that it will beep if the car in front of you moves and you don't move. It gives you like it's like
feel
a
like I
free
start to get
pass
upset.
start- it's like, hey,
It
when you're at
tells
the
you
light,
to
start
move?
texting. Yeah. Well, so if I'm at a light now, stopped, and there's a car in front of me, and that car goes, and I don't go, the car, my
Honks at
my
you and
car
says,
will beep and
"Wake
say,
up."
hey, like,
It's
get
interesting.
going, dude.
I don't know if I like that.
I don't know if I like
Like,
that.
I don't.
Like, let's go.
Hey, wake up. I don't need my car telling me. It's none of your business.
I don't need anybody
I
telling
don't
me
need
something
that.
else
Well,
to do.
you don't have to honk at me now from behind.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you could check the settings and see, like, is it a 3-second thing, or how do they have it set up?
It's pretty quick.
I feel like it sounds kind of
It's
aggressive.
It's about a
Sounds a little
second and a
aggressive.
half, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you talked about hospitality, and I feel like you have to coin that somewhere, a city of hospitality, because I really do. A lot of what
Yeah.
we do here is experience.
Vi Lyles is going to steal that. She is. It's fine.
I feel like for me, when I think of it, not just in the food area, but so much of the activities that we enjoy doing, I think a lot of it fits under the hospitality arm. So activities, experience, a lot of that is hospitality, whether it's not quite sports, but like little date night things, an art thing here. A lot of that is in a way hospitality, and I think you're right. Like that is what we are known for. When people ask, what do you do for fun? Things I'm going to say are probably going to fit into hospitality. So I think you might tonight trademark
He's
or
feeling
whatever.
really
Sure.
good
Yep.
about himself now.
Like I look, I do actually really like that one. I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it. If I didn't mean it.
In full disclosure, Jamie actually came up with that. I
don't even
I just
remember.
keep stealing it. But like most ideas, we come up with ideas as a couple.
Okay.
As in, Jamie came up with that.
Okay, so that is actually I do want to hear more about this. You guys are the second couple that we've had on, and I think it's I just think it's cool when couples work together and
can be cool.
clearly
Clearly
see
he does.
and
Yep.
clearly see that they're like enjoying themselves. Like you guys have been doing this for a while. It's really successful, and that takes. It's not just both of you, but I think there's also something for united leadership that the direction that you guys give your teams to be successful has to come from both of you. You can't be driving the team one way and you driving it another way because you're going to end up with really fractured establishments. And all of them are really cohesive, and not just within themselves, but then as a restaurant group, all of them have a certain vibe that you can say, this is Jeff and Jamie. Like this is their fingerprint. So this is a question for both of you. What is a trait about the other person that you're so grateful for in doing this?
Well, I know what mine is about you. It's that he is so low-key and chill. Like, he's just relaxed. Like, this building could be on fire, and he'd be like, hey, guys, we got to move to the exits. Do you know what I mean? It's chill. He makes the 911 call. Everything just happens with ease. And I think having that mindset is really the only way to do what we do, but also to thrive in the restaurant business in general, because there are problems every single day, and a lot of them don't end up getting to me. Some will get to him, but there's issues all the time. And I think in this business, you have to be very nimble, very adroit to fix and change, and be willing to adapt and go a different direction. And you can imagine, we have 300 people on our team now. It's not usually us solving the problems, but his demeanor of having, a little bit of a lighter spirit about things very much helps our entire team kind of keep a more mellow tone.
You got to top that. That was beautiful. Like that was heartfelt. She was ready off the.
Yeah,
Well,
let's
Jeff?
hear it, Jeff. He's gonna be like, she is nice.
Likewise, in order to get a lot of things done, I think you need to be organized and have a list and stay on track and stay directed. And who does that for us?
I'm a list maker. I'm a taskmaster. I think one of the biggest challenges I have is that I don't want to be the annoying coworker. I don't want to be the annoying wife. So there's oftentimes we pull in a couple other people to help. We, as in I pull in other people to help lead things along. So I'm like, it's because I don't want to nag him. Could you please help push this along? But we really need to do this, So it's
the pace
tricky.
that we move since you've been fully on board here it's exponential. So I appreciate that. Otherwise, we'd be on our.
That was almost poetic.
Wow.
He's almost crying.
Wow. Yeah.
Get you a napkin.
No, but seriously, I think that's wonderful. Your thing about task, us doing this was, it was supposed to be me and a buddy, and my buddy got busy, and he's still part of it, but my wife is now producer. You see her, she's set up here and all that. The interesting thing at the end of this is when we do our clips and the cover photos and all of that, she's a photographer. She's got that skill set. I don't. And it's one of those things where we have had to figure out the nice way for us to communicate to each other, because sometimes if I'm doing something last minute, that works for me. But then when I also need something from her, I can't tell her, hey, I need 8 graphics from you because this needs to happen tomorrow. She starts looking at me like, you did not give me a heads up for this. And I'm like, okay, I could see how that could be frustrating. And so here I am going through my list of my job is done, mine. And then I'm like, hey, and now it's all right, here's the rollout for the next 2 weeks. This is what the calendar is. This is what we need to be doing. This is when I need this by. Can we have this? And now she's like, okay. She even got to the point where this is when I knew she was really getting irritated with me and I needed to make an adjustment fast. She started going, send it to me in an email. I was like, oh no.
We're moving all communication online.
She was
everything.
She's like, can you email that to me? I was like, I need to change this or she's going to quit and then I'm going to have nobody.
And then when, in my circumstance, I already have emailed that to you and I texted you. And
so now I'm just we figured it out and early communication, or it's hey, babe, the pictures, and oh yeah. But it takes time. And so I do appreciate truth, selfishly, getting to watch couples be successful together, because I get to learn and it's just interesting, and it takes work to get there.
My biggest problem is she's so on the ball, I can't pocket veto anything anymore. I used to be able to just be well, that's just not going to happen and let it go. But she has
I'm there to follow
follow-ups
up,
and lists
scoop it.
and all these other things, and so it makes it really difficult. I actually have to use my words and talk about things and feelings and.
But I think it's what you're saying. You have to figure out the other person and what works and doesn't work. We are celebrating our 20-year marriage. Is that how you say it? Anniversary.
Yeah.
Marriage
Anniversary.
anniversary.
Yeah.
Anniversary.
Wedding
But I don't know.
anniversary.
We're not talking about restaurants, but anniversary.
Yes, wedding anniversary.
20 years of being married. Let's say that in January. I guess I should say that
Congratulations.
in the past tense, I don't know.
Yeah. It
Anyway,
didn't matter.
okay. But so January is our 20th year anniversary, and I think a lot of it is figuring out what works for him, what he needs, communicating with him differently than maybe I communicate with somebody else, and knowing when I can tell when I'm irritating him. I mean, we all know when we're irritating our partner generally, don't we? Do you? I don't know. But you generally have a feeling of
Wow.
that. And you know to back up or to
Yeah.
try a different tactic, approach from a different direction. But yeah, you got to keep things together then professionally and in your home life and with children or whatever other things that you have going on.
When it came to set designs, again, I started with someone else, so I'd have a vision of how I want to set things up, and she comes in and she's like, mm-mm. And I realized I'm I could spend time arguing with her over my vision and then be upset when it turns out the wrong way, and then I only have myself to blame for not listening, or I could just listen to the person with the eye. And so when people are how do you want to set up? I'm ask the queen over there. I said, because she knows lighting.
But that takes humility. You know what I mean? It takes humility on your part, and I think that's something that
Laziness.
to do, or just not caring. But yeah, I think that humility piece of just don't take it personally. It's okay. Just take the feedback. Always be open to feedback, like you're saying. It just
I think
helps the
she's
project
coaching
being
you
better.
there. She's coaching you there.
Yeah.
Look, my dad told me early on, he said, son, marry smart, marry beautiful. And I was like, this girl is much smarter than me. Even in college, I was like, she's smarter than me. She's a lot more attractive than I am. So I'm like, all right, when she talks, I should probably listen because I'll end up in a better spot. And she has been the biggest believer of this podcast and what we're doing. And so when she's like, hey, I think, I'm like, you haven't been wrong really yet. So
There you go.
Okay, so next question, and this is not to spark up any mischief between the two of you. Small quirk about the other person that you've accepted but does drive you just a little crazy. And now it's something you can laugh about. I'm not looking for.
Are we in therapy right now?
No. I don't want anything. You guys are gonna have to go home and
You
discuss.
go first on this one. This will be very interesting.
I am.
Isn't it sometimes
mean,
the thing that's great about somebody is also can be irksome? Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes his speed of pace, I'm like, it's earth-shatteringly slow. Let's move it. Do you know
You
what
want
I
some
mean?
urgency.
The sense of urgency is like completely benign. I don't know. Are we like sometimes like, do we have a pulse? You know what I mean? What are we doing? But it's also great because he keeps everything.
It is a restaurant superpower.
It
It is
is.
just to be able to handle everything and
Yes.
solve problems, and it is.
Yeah, for
But-
sure.
Okay, so
Maybe in
So
our
I'll
home
say
life,
that.
I could see.
okay, do you have an answer?
Ooh.
Should I do a drum
No.
roll?
It's not an answer. Do I have a question?
Okay.
Can I pass? Phone a friend?
Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you a smart man
Yeah,
right
exactly.
here.
Exactly.
Pass.
I think you're perfect in every way.
Oh, my.
So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
this is
Yes.
20 years of marriage.
All right,
Yeah.
next question.
This is how you get to 20 years.
Yes. Next question.
For
mouth
for you
closed.
guys, the balancing of it all, parents, husband, wife, all the restaurants you guys have. At what point do you feel like, and you probably will say like we're not perfect yet, but at what point do you feel like you reached a good harmony? Because not so much balance, because sometimes certain things are a little higher than others. Sometimes I'm sure it's probably you're more business owners than husband and wife, but always still the parent. Like, at what point did you guys feel like in this journey you've like really hit your stride?
I honestly felt like when Supperland opened, things changed a lot for us, just in terms of we suddenly had 4 concepts and we couldn't be everywhere.
Yeah.
And so you have to have great people in place. And it truly is our team that has been able to give us work-life balance too, and put us in a place where we can kind of lead and help direct and steer. But this team that we have are the ones who are really making it all happen every day. And so I don't know if you feel that way. I know it's been a lot more work, but it's also created this a different form of leadership where we're not doing the work necessarily. We're helping to lead and be on a team.
Big strategy.
It's so different.
Getting to that size was a really, really big help. And I think when we opened up Ever Andalo, we didn't really change our size at all. But the night we opened up Ever Andalo, Jamie and I went to dinner over at Supperland to celebrate. So that's how
It was
like
on
we
opening night, we walked out.
got to the point where we had been here at Ever Andalo every day for 6 straight weeks, the entire day. But on that night, we knew everybody was trained, everybody was doing what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
We had tasted the food every day for 30 straight days and knew where it was we wanted to be, and that was.
I remember we were that night, like the whole dining room was full. It was the first night of service at Ever Andalo, and we stepped up back into the back hallway, and I was just like, I think it's time. And then we looked at each other. We looked around the hall. Everything was running as it should be, and we walked out through the kitchen, went out the back door, totally quiet. You know, I remember hearing the locusts that night, total southern night. You know, and we drove across town just over to Supperland and celebrated there. You know, because it was actually the first year anniversary of Supperland. So the
Yeah,
same night that
it's-
Ever Andalo opened. It was the same birthday.
I knew we celebrated something, but yeah, they have the same birthday.
Same birthday. It was
just
March 3rd.
a year
And
later.
we went over there and celebrated there at the chef's counter. And it was such a momentous thing to be able to step away from a restaurant that was opening night, and we stepped away. And again, that's like totally attributed to our team being set up to win, creating something amazing, and they orchestrated it and made it happen.
We were laughing the other night because, most people think we're extremely busy, and most of the time we are. And the two of us were sitting on our couch in front of our coffee table, gluing our daughter's art project to the paper.
I bet
We
this
were,
isn't
like,
what people would be
sitting with a
expecting
glue
we're doing.
stick. We were sitting with a glue stick, like gluing things. And
Like
we're like,
teamwork. Okay,
is
take
this
this.
a good? Is this
Okay,
a good
you
use of
glue
our
this,
time
I'll
at
set this
11
up.
o'clock
Always
at
parents.
night? Yeah.
Always parents.
Yeah.
And I will say that your description of that night, like, you do a really good job describing it, because all of a sudden I feel like I was with you guys. If you guys, when your documentary happens in like some years and you get like some actors and actresses to play your life and stuff, make sure you get that scene in detail, because I did all of a sudden start to hear the locust. And I'm not being funny, but I think that picture that you paint right there, I can appreciate as like, we've all worked hard at something in our lives, not to that magnitude, but to the magnitude of whatever it means in our own life. But to have that moment where it's like, all right, now you're just kind of walking into this and it's like done. You can take a breath, you can enjoy it, and then just go walk off and like almost walking off into the sunset or into the night,
For sure.
like to go have your moment. And I think that's cool. And truthfully, sitting here from you guys, keeping up with you, watching your stuff, is like, all right, makes sense of why your businesses work. Like, it's clearly the love for you have. I don't think your businesses would work if you didn't have the love you have for each other, because I feel like it would all fall apart at some point. But I think it.
Yeah, and it's
works.
also, I think, yes, there is that, and that is like a very solid foundation. But it's also like the love that we have for our team.
Yeah.
We have some people who've been with us since we opened Crepe Cellar in 2009, and to have that group of people with us.
Yeah.
We still have our executive chef from Crepe Cellar on our team in a corporate chef role, helping the other chefs. And, Colleen Hughes, our head mixologist, who just got that
Big
Michelin,
time.
huge Michelin
Big
award.
time.
She's been with us for 13, 14 years. We just have really incredible people who truly, and I think it's that you can't fake love. Like, I truly adore these people and I want the best for them. And I want, I think the thing that brings us some of the most joy in our lives is creating opportunities that can support families. So like Steve Cooney, our executive chef who started with us at Crepe Cellar, his daughter now works for us, and creating that pipeline of
Yeah.
opportunity, and for him to be able to support his family and then others alongside him, like just creating that, like there's 300 people that can provide for a family in some way. And I think that joy and camaraderie and team is really a huge part of why we do what we do now. Maybe not at the beginning. The beginning was about having income
gotta
for
make it.
ourselves.
You gotta make it
You gotta
first.
make
Yeah.
it. There was just 11 tables. There's just not a lot, to
Yeah.
live off of there. But now it's like, okay, how can we have impact? And
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest ways we can do that is by creating job opportunities and careers within hospitality.
Authenticity is what it sounds like. Like,
Right.
you guys being like the love you have, like you said, for each other, for your teams, and being authentic. And that is why people stay 13, 15 years in your businesses. But okay, we've talked about a lot, and you guys run a whole bunch of restaurants, so we should probably talk about the restaurants. I thought of this, and I hope it goes well, but I trust you too. I want you to popcorn between each other, describing one of your restaurants at a time so we get through all of them. So I don't want one person to have to do them
Okay.
all,
Gotcha.
but pick a quick description. If somebody didn't know your restaurant and you were giving a description for it.
Easy. I'll start here. Habberdish, fried chicken and cocktails.
That was really fast.
Yeah.
Growler's Poorhouse is a craft beer bar with beer food, but we sell a hell of a lot more cocktails than we do beer now.
Okay. And those two right here in NoDa, and there's two
right.
more NoDa ones.
Yep.
Yeah, we have Ever Andalo. This is our Italian place.
And Ever Andalo is right around the corner from Raining Donuts, which is a walk-up window for hot, fresh, made-to-order donuts.
Okay, and I'm going to stop right there because I want to talk about these donuts. I did not realize that was you guys for the longest time.
Oh, yeah.
Because when we come to NoDa, like we're walking, always be like, oh, let's go to the donut place. And then one time we came and it was closed and probably missed the timing, like here at an odd hour. I was devastated. I'm like, if I'm in NoDa, I want a donut. Otherwise, I feel like my trip is not complete.
Right.
But it wasn't until recently that I'm like, wait, they're the ones behind the donuts. Like,
Right.
I love those donuts.
It's so much fun, and what's really interesting is that is actually a shared kitchen between 3 concepts. So there's a walkway between each of them in the back of house. So Growlers, Ever Andalo, and Raining Donuts all have a shared space, and that's why it works. So they share
Ah.
a dishwasher, a mop sink, even
That's
a
how you
staff.
do
in
an
some
82
ways.
square foot
You
donut
can't
shop.
do that anywhere, but we have
because I was very
support.
curious about like how do you make that work, but
You
now that
don't.
makes sense. It's part of.
You can't, yeah.
Okay, so with those 4, because we'll get to the other 2, but with those 4, you started to talk about this earlier. That's 4 concepts in NoDa. Like, what about this NoDa area, this neighborhood, makes you guys want to keep coming back and building more here?
I mean, it's kind of some of those things we talked about at the beginning of everyone's welcome here, and it's just a cool part of town. It has a great vibe. We like the music scene. We like that, people show up with tattoos. Our employees show up with
Yeah.
tattoos, and it's very real. And we've really loved being a part of the neighborhood here. We have a lot of friends that live around here, and have come to our restaurants for 15 years. So
Yeah.
it's that was kind of the goal from the beginning, was to be a part of a neighborhood, and I think we've accomplished
Yeah,
that.
the spaces kind of just, I don't want to say just happened, but in a lot of ways they just happened. We opened up Crepe Cellar in 2009, just 11 tables, and then the space next door had been a retail shop that went under during the recession, and so that space became available. He was working on his Cicerone license, which is like a sommelier of
Okay.
beer, and so we opened up a craft beer bar there, and then the yogurt shop right next to Crepe Cellar closed down. We were able to buy that little space and
Okay.
expand Crepe Cellar to 18 tables from 11. And then this space was available for many, many years. I mean, it was just awful. You'd open up and just the stench of this place. It smelled like something had died and probably had and come back to life and died again. I mean, it was just like awful in here. But this had been the former general store of this community, and we really saw that as a great place to root a southern, Milltown
Yeah.
kitchen fried chicken.
General store fried chicken.
Yes, you
That's direct
where it's
line.
at.
For sure, and Colleen had created for this space specifically a cocktail list menu that was, we called it apothecary style cocktails. We still have that same kind of format. And it's just been a really fun neighborhood to be in, fun place to see, just preserving these little, they're not historic spaces
Yeah.
by like a historic register deed or anything, but they're old places that were part of
Historic to
this
Charlotte.
area when it was, a textile mill village.
Yeah. So with that, I'm curious then if you, and I think you were starting to hit on it, if you feel a sense of responsibility for the neighborhood, not responsibility like it's your job to take care of it, but like more of like a responsibility and like appreciation for it.
I think we appreciate the character of old buildings. It also gives us a sense of place when we're creating something, and it helps when you're breathing life into something to have that backstory.
Yeah.
So it's a big part of what we are in getting grounded and centered. I think we talk about in our PBS show, Fork and Hammer, we talk about that knocking down old buildings is a meme for Charlotte. And so we'd
You see those too, huh?
Yeah, so we'd kind of like to push against that a little bit
Yeah.
and save some of these old neighborhoods.
And a lot of our staff they live here in NoDa too, and they just walk over here to work. And I think, being a part of the community in that way, like where people just have a safe, easy place to come work.
Yeah.
And, sometimes we even share employees with other restaurants, that they're done there, they come work for us, or some of our people
Yeah.
need to change, they'll go work elsewhere, and then there's a beautiful nightlife scene with Evening Muse, a neighborhood theater where we see a great bump up in business when people come out here to
Yeah.
NoDa and really experience the whole vibe.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about this neighborhood too, is just you can walk around and pop in one place to another, enjoy the music, enjoy a show, and delicious food too.
Yeah. If you've not been to NoDa, you need to make sure you come out here and check it out. It's a good time. There's a few good food options, lots of good food here, honestly. But Habberdish, some donuts would be my personal stop. Like, stop here first. Don't do dessert here. Good, but like just go to Raining Donuts and get you some donuts. But I want to hear about you guys are talking about saving old buildings, historic buildings. I'd like to say you guys are preservationists, if you will, of.
It's very generous, but thank
is.
you.
Well, I'm also one of those people who has said Charlotte loves to tear down things, and I think that's what's affected some of the structural history of our city. Everything in Charlotte looks new, and that's cute for a while, but then afterwards it's like we have nothing. You go to Philly and you're seeing row homes, or New York and you're seeing row homes and things. Like, you go to these historic cities and you see history in the architecture. We don't have that, and none of our buildings look old. The mills, some of them get repurposed sometimes, but are they as good as they could be? Probably not. And so one of the things I do appreciate is when people find intentional ways to preserve Charlotte's history, because hopefully that's your restaurant forever. But if in 100 years you guys, Supperland is no more, Luluia Hall is no more, and somebody else comes in, my hope would be that they preserve that building, because there's history there that has now been there over time. So as preservationists of Charlotte buildings, I would love to understand the why a little deeper, and then also talking about some of the projects. So Supperland, I think, is really unique. Also, whoever talks about Supperland, talk a little bit about the restaurant, and Luluia Hall too, because those two I think are just really, really interesting.
You go ahead.
Yeah, so Supperland is in an old church. It's two buildings, one built in the 1940s, another built in the 1950s. And the old part where we have the bar at Supperland was the original building for the church. And then the congregation got bigger, and they built a bigger church on the same property, which is where our dining room is. And then one of the cool things about both churches that we have is, I think a lot of people from up north expect you to have a restaurant and a church because the congregation fell apart. But in both of ours, it's because the congregation did so well that they wanted bigger and better churches.
Space, yeah.
And so it's kind of a case where they outgrew the spaces that they were in, and they left these beautiful buildings behind. And so it was really cool for us to be able to be a part of that history and go in there. And so we have Supperland, which is a southern steakhouse and has a church potluck side. So it kind of is a, little bit to the history there, and really fun. And we put a 14-foot fire grill on the altar, and
It's a really unique space because it's two buildings. The smaller of the two buildings was built in 1948, and it was the original sanctuary for the church. And then they saved up enough money to be able to build the larger sanctuary, which is the main dining room that most people think of, which
you
was
guys
built
got
in
them both.
1956. Yes, so it's a triangular lot, and it's got both buildings. They were parceled together as one unit, and then it has a patio in between.
Did you guys open the cocktail bar at the same time as? So that was always the plan. You did them both together.
And there's a speakeasy below the cocktail bar. A
Okay.
little hidden speakeasy. I don't know if you've done the speakeasy
I have not.
experience. But Colleen Hughes, our head mixologist, who just got a wonderful Michelin award, as we talked about, she puts together 4 cocktails down there, and then we pair 4 food courses with those cocktails. So we do it backwards. We do the cocktails first, and then we kind of keep with the theme and do the food after we have the cocktails, and put a pretty cool experience together down
And
there.
it rotates seasonally too. So right now
Note to
we are
wife, date night.
It is. It's a boozy date night too.
It
Just
is.
so you know,
That's
it's a boozy
okay.
date night.
That's okay.
It's a lot of fun.
I will tell you, Supperland, I've gotten to know a lot of great restaurants and chefs. I'm not someone who, I do have some of my favorite restaurants, but the thing I care more about is my favorite things to eat. Because sometimes, you might enjoy a restaurant experience, but there's one dish that, I think about. Supperland, the mushroom risotto. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed it. We got so many sides. My wife's like, we got one steak. She's like, let's just get all these sides.
It saves well.
So well.
Lunch.
We got the sweet potato, mushroom risotto. There was some dip for, some sort of dip that we got that I cannot remember.
The onion dip, maybe.
Yes.
The warm onion
Yeah,
dip.
yeah. We finished. There was enough mushroom risotto. I was excited to go to bed to wake up so I could eat it again. And I'm not exaggerating. All I could think about for a day was coming back to that mushroom risotto. And when I sat down to eat it, it was like the biggest sigh of relief and smile that I'm like, oh my God, this is so good.
That's
I was
so
like, I
great.
could eat this by itself. Like, I don't need anything else. Just give me a bowl of that. I was so happy more. I was like, you really love it. And I was like, this is one of the greatest things I've had in Charlotte. So that mushroom risotto is
Love
in
it.
my top list of bites in Charlotte out of anywhere I've been. And
I'm so glad to hear that. And so executive chef Chris Roginski was the one who developed that dish originally at Supperland. And he has done a tremendous job, but he always said one of his specialties was risotto. And so we put him on that dish
He's
there.
killing
And we
it.
said, make it. So that's what we're still making there. Now, Chef Chris has now moved over to Leluya Hall.
Okay.
So he's our executive chef there. And you'll be happy to know that we have a lemon risotto over there. So you'll have to try that when you come to visit us
a
sometime.
risotto tour.
A risotto
you
tour.
go.
Very creamy, very light.
It has a wonderful mouthfeel. We kind of, at the end, we take some whipped cream and non-sugary whipped cream, just
Yeah.
whipped cream, and we fold it in softly, and it just changes the color, the mouthfeel, everything.
There's
It's delightful.
I don't know if it was a butter or a cream or something in the mushroom risotto too. There was,
Yes, there is
There's
a
a
butter
dollop on top of
cream, maybe.
yeah,
Creme
creme
It's creme
fraiche,
fraiche. Yeah,
creme
it's creme
fraiche,
fraiche on
little
that
dollop
dish.
of creme fraiche on top.
by itself was good. Get the creme fraiche there. I was like,
We love
truly, it was one of my favorite things
Oh,
to eat.
I'm so
My wife
glad.
was like, "You're insane." I'm like, "No, this is," and she enjoyed it. But for me, I'm like,
And we use a southern rice for that as well, so it's kind of a, fits the Southern Steakhouse
Okay.
theme, and yeah.
all right. You mentioned the last one, history of the building, and that was a project I know that took.
Yes, well, so the interesting thing is it's actually two projects going side by side, and they get very confused with one another. It's probably our fault because they both start with an L. But Leluya Hall
Yes.
is sitting on the corner. I'll go into more details of that. And then right next to it's where we moved that a historic building, the
Yes.
Leeper Wyatt building. So there's those two, but the Leeper Wyatt building is still a ways away from opening up. But Leluya Hall is also in a church like Supperland, but it's a 1915 church. It is a very early church for Charlotte. Dilworth is known as it's known as Charlotte's first suburb. It was connected it was connected to Center City by an electric streetcar, which was very early. It was the early 1900s that this was built there. They built the streetcar line, and it was because one of the industrialists here in Charlotte named D.A. Tompkins was friends with a man named Thomas Edison. And Edison had created the streetcar, and so they ran it from Center City down to Dilworth and down East Boulevard around the Lotta Park community. And so that was kind of the beginnings, but this church sprouted up right in that area of the first suburb of Charlotte. So the church was actually started just under the shade of a tree, and a gentleman by the name of Reverend Butts had begun just meeting with people under this tree. Well, they saved up enough money, and in 1896, they built a little wooden structure on that corner. It's at the corner of Cleveland and Worthington,
Okay.
just off of East and South Boulevard. And so they had built this little wooden structure, and then around 1915 is when they actually built the brick structure that you see today.
Yeah.
Since then, I mean, that building has served a number of different church congregations that have come and then left, and then also a retail shop it was for a while, a plant nursery, and then it served as a restaurant called Bonterra for 22 years, which was developed and owned and operated by John Duncan here in Charlotte.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the history lesson.
Yeah, like
Sorry,
I
that
was locked
so
in.
many
Wow.
words.
No, I was locked
Yeah.
in. Okay. So that project, I believe, started around when we were getting to Charlotte.
Okay.
And I remember,
It's going on and on and on.
Yes.
We remember that too.
yeah, what was that like?
Everyone wants us to announce the projects, and
They want to know, and then it's like,
Everybody
are you
wants to
ready to
know
come
it.
along the
Yeah,
ride? Because
and
it's going to be a
they're
long
like,
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for
Guys.
that one, I remember reading like their issues. Like you guys just kept finding problems.
we
and
had
stuff.
structural issues, but we also had to do a rezoning to accept the building move.
About a year of it was taken up just by trying to get the property next to us rezoned to accept that historic structure next to it. So
Oh.
that was 1 year of the build out, was
And-
waiting for that.
Yeah, and we had to go through historic for a number of things, which kind of slowed things down and kind of worked through all those issues. So, but we're on the other side now.
Okay.
Well, on the other side.
So-
It's like
and
it
so
never happened.
food style there.
Okay, so Leluya Hall is known as a steak and surf restaurant. I love this menu. It is super bright and fresh. You're going to find all those beautiful steaks that you'll see at Supperland. But we do a salt sugar cure on those steaks to really bring out the flavors of the meats. And then the sides, and we also have a raw bar as well, are just super bright and fresh and tropical in nature. So you'll see a lot of citrus flavors. We have a beautiful sea bass ceviche that we serve with homemade plantain chips. We have a crudo. We do tiny tacos that are like 2-bite tacos where we make the masa shells in-house and fry them, and then they're served with a beef tartare or a yellowtail, for example. So you'll find super, super fun dishes there. The bread, for instance, at Supperland is a porridge bread.
Okay.
At Leluya Hall, we do a Hawaiian roll. So they're homemade Hawaiian rolls that come out to the table. So just a lot
fun.
of
So
beautiful.
two churches, but
Very
and two
different.
steakhouses, but very different
yeah.
menus, different ways to approach it, two different styles.
The bread at Supperland, now that you mentioned that, I do remember being very good and very excited to, I'm a butter guy.
Yeah.
A butter flight is one of the greatest things I've ever heard of. When he was like, when we're talking about it, I was like, I don't know if we need the bread because we're gonna get the sides, and I'm like, you're probably right. And then he was like, so we have 3 different types of butters, it's basically a butter flight. And I was like, bring it. I was like,
we're back in.
The minute you said butter flight, I am all in. And they're all so cool in purple butter, orange butter. I was like, what is going on here?
One of them we
Fantastic.
keep on there all the time. That's the bright pink one you saw. That is a cultured beet butter. So we mix in the juices of a beet into that cultured butter. And then the other ones are seasonal. So they'll change out. I believe probably what you had, the orange one was a peach butter, and then the other one was probably an herb butter of some kind.
Yeah. And then,
Fantastic.
And then at Ever Andalo, we have an olive oil flight. So we bring in 3 DOP olive oils from Italy, and kind of starts out, you can go Sicily, then Tuscany, and then Lake Garda. So it lets you travel the different climates of Italy.
I think one of the
I love that.
things to note about that is, I think, a lot of times when you go to an Italian restaurant or any restaurant, they'll bring the olive oil to the table, you pour it, maybe you put the balsamic vinegar in that a lot of people do here in the States, a little bit of salt. But you don't know where that olive oil came from. It probably just came off of a truck. But we really try to make sure that all those little touch points are very intentional. So at Ever Andalo, when you get that flight, they're meant to give you, so DOP is basically I won't say it properly in Italian, but they're protected by region.
Okay.
So DOP is, it's like
It's a
Denominazione di
certification.
Protezione or something. It's a certification. You have to, if you want to say you have Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, it has to come from that Parma area in a specific region, has to be made in a certain way, you get certified. So same thing with those olive oils that we have there. They are very intentional. So you're not just getting olive oil, you're actually getting a taste of
that region.
Olive oils from specific areas.
That's awesome.
And
We were 2025. We were in Italy, and
Fun.
the olive oil there is just like
It's wonderful.
people, like you said, put balsamic in their olive oil. I'm like, no. I was like, just take the bread and just dip it in this olive oil, and it's so perfect, and it's so good. But yeah, the butter flight. Now I'm remembering.
You're
that.
back
It
to the
was-
butter.
Back
Forget
to
the
the
olive
butter.
oil.
That was great.
Bring on the
Okay.
butter.
Yeah.
You guys moved, and this was huge news. Moved a building, not destroyed it. Moved a building. What is that project?
Ooh, you probably best to talk about
Yeah,
that.
so
That was quite a thing.
the oldest brick commercial building in the South End was sitting on South Boulevard, about a block and a half away, 750 feet.
We lived
And-
right there, so we would walk
Okay.
past it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And slated, they're still delayed with their construction, but slated to have a high-rise apartment complex.
Typical.
30-story apartment complex. And we were kind of the last hope for that building and a place to go to save the building. The apartment company was nice enough they paid for a little bit of the engineering to see if it would work, and they also gave us the building, and then we got stuck with all the other costs that
We just had to move the thing
went
750
out of
feet.
control. But no, it's found a nice home, and it's settled next to Leluya Hall now. And we moved a building up the street. It was quite an endeavor, but it was a challenging process. I don't know if we'll move a building again, but it's pretty cool
I'm
that
okay
we
doing that just once in a
Yeah, it's
lifetime.
like a once in a lifetime.
It is.
If you
It
want to
is.
see a more in-depth look, you can see it in the PBS series Fork and Hammer. Episode 7
All right.
dives into that building move for people who are interested in the architecture, how in the world that actually
Yeah.
happens,
There's
cool,
that kind of
cool
stuff.
graphics
It's pretty incredible.
about how the whole thing worked, and you can see the dollies driving up the street, and yeah, it's really neat.
Okay. So what is going in there?
Great question.
is
We are
going in
we are
there?
just getting the word out about all of that,
Okay.
and want to keep in mind too. This building is super unusual because a lot of people don't realize how much space in a restaurant has to go towards the back of house
Yeah,
or the kitchen space, right? If you don't have a big enough kitchen, you cannot service the restaurant. But the Leeper Wyatt building, we moved 2 stories, okay? But we sat it on top of a foundation, and the foundation is where our kitchen is going to be.
Yeah, I saw
So
that.
In that, yep, that'll be the basement floor. Then it has 2 stories, and then we're putting a solarium on top, okay? But it's only 1,500 square feet on each floor. Once you put in staircases and an elevator and bathrooms on each floor, it really gets tight.
Yeah.
Really, it's a really narrow space. So we're getting very creative. We are going to be offering kind of a different menu on each floor based on how we can service
And
it.
a different feel too is
And
the
a different,
the
and a
big
different
thing.
feel. But the overall branding is that it is a former grocery store. And so we want to lean into the idea of milling our own grains to be able to create breads and pastas, but not do it in an Italian way. But you'll see lots of threads of homemade breads and pastas. The restaurant itself is going to be called Wyatt's Superfine. Okay? Now, you're looking at me like, what in the world does that mean?
I'm assuming because
So-
Wyatt's in the name.
Well, yes, it's the
Yes.
Leeper Wyatt building, and the gentleman who ran the grocery store for decades was Pleasant Wyatt. I mean, what a great name, right?
It sounds like a nice guy.
He's the
Yeah.
one who ran that grocery store for all those years. So we wanted to make it an ode to him. And then Superfine is actually the level to which you can mill down grains
Grain, yeah.
for making certain types of breads and pastas.
Ah.
So we wanted to us, that feels very much like a grocery store feel. Wyatt Superfine allows you to get those homemade goods there in this place, but in a pretty radical, wild way. We're working on some pretty creative things. So
Wyatt's Superfine. That is awesome.
thanks.
I did. My wife and I were having this discussion because she was like, Lulia Hall's in the building. I'm like, no, it's not. It's beside the building. And she was like, no. I said, trust me, I did my research. It is not that building. I said, something else is coming, and we don't know what it
Something else
is
is
yet.
coming.
Something else.
Yes,
But
it's
that-
confusing to people, I think, a lot because they both start with L's and they're in old buildings. They're both in Dilworth on Cleveland. It's
Yeah.
confusing.
Well, I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited to come and check that out when it opens. But
Thanks.
getting, like, that's just so cool. How did you have the idea to move the building though? Like, because did you get
Yeah,
a call
so-
or were you
So
guys
one
the ones
one
looking?
one of our friends actually owns the lot across the street,
Okay.
and
On Worthington.
on Worthington, and was looking. He was the first one looking into moving the building, and he was worried if he took all of that expense, what's going to go into the building. So he came to us, showed us the building because he wanted us to say, if you move the building there, it makes sense being across the street from Leluya Hall that we'd run another restaurant
Yeah.
there. So he wanted a tenant and wanted to know he had an income stream. So we were talking through that and we said, yes, we love the building.
Yeah.
We'd love to, be a part of it. And if you move it there, we'd love to work on a lease and get in the building. And then it got too expensive and too complicated for him, and he wasn't
the
able to.
grade.
Yeah, the grade's tough over there. It's a corner lot, so it had a lot of issues with historic and a lot of other things. And so after he dropped the project, he said, "Well, I can't do the project. I have all the engineering, and guess what? The only other spot this building can go
That's
is
nearby.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the only place you can take,
Yeah.
that building has to be nearby. So the only other spot that would work is your parking lot at Leluya Hall. And so then we said, okay, well, send us all the stuff. We'll look through it, and it was, it's
We
a
should have
great
said
home
no,
for
but
it.
we said yes, and now we have another
Yes.
building.
But
sitting
now our
there.
city
Yeah.
is better because we get
think
to
so. I
we
hope
get to
so.
keep that building. Like there's another building, Price's Chicken Coop in South End.
Yes.
Yeah.
That closed a couple years ago. And every time I walk past it, nothing's gone in it yet, but every time I walk past it, I'm always like, I hope that whoever comes in here next keeps the building. Because that is and it's probably sold off somewhere, I don't know. But it's like,
That's going to be a high rise as well.
Supposed to.
Yeah.
the city of high rises. That's what we should name. That's what we should be known
No,
as.
the city of hospitality.
Yeah,
Get it
the
straight.
city
No.
of high
Let's go back.
rises.
Yeah.
And I'll put it on a T-shirt with a frowny face. Like, but yeah, like some of those historic buildings are like the ones that like I just love. Another random one that I always show friends if we're driving to Plaza Midwood when they're visiting. Beaver,
The
Thirsty Beaver.
Beaver.
I always shout it out. I always like, all right. I'm like, we're driving, and I'm like, hey, in 2 seconds, you're gonna see a building. You have to look quickly because we'll
You will pass
we'll
it.
pass
Yeah.
it. And they're like, there's no way that's a bar. I said, it is. And they literally had to figure out how to build an apartment complex around it. But that's history. That's what you go to cities and you're like, oh, wow, this is
Those
so
little
cool.
stories.
Yeah, like those stories. The, even like the Incline, when I was in Pittsburgh, there's a little museum that you can go
Yeah.
down and like, and my dad and I went down and were like looking at the signs and like looking, because that's history. And so for people like you to be in the food and beverage industry, but to have a heart for preserving Charlotte's history, I think it's huge, because you might not get the props for it now, but in years when we're like, we have no original buildings, and it's like, Jeff and Jamie do, and it's like, it's gonna be cool to be able to say like, these are some of the people who really put the work in moving a building, figuring out the engineering, building a whole basement, and then like, that's work. That costs, I'm sure, a lot of money, but you guys did it, and our city's gonna be better for it. So
I
I'm
hope
grateful.
So. I think like as we get older, I think being sure that we leave something behind that makes the world better, and that's
Absolutely.
such a maybe it's a small way, or the creating jobs for the next generation of people who are working with us, and but I think that little bit of preservation, we like to think like maybe our kids will be able to do something there, or sell the building and move on, but hopefully it will stay there, and at least the Leeper Wyatt building, I mean, that's a landmark through Mecklenburg County, so it has more of a chance of being
Yeah.
preserved that way as well.
That's
so.
awesome. Like I do truly appreciate that, because that's one of the things
Thank
I
you.
complained about for years. Before yeah, my wife would hear it, and she's like, I mean, not much you can do. And I'm like, keep the building, figure out a way to make that work. But moving on the heels of huge news for our city, Michelin star, Michelin guide, and there's one other one. You've mentioned your cocktail. What is her cocktail manager?
She's our head mixologist,
Head
and yeah, she
mixologist.
was won the Exceptional Cocktails Award.
For the whole South.
For the whole South.
Which
American
is
South.
huge. She was the only one,
Yeah.
I believe, also to get that
The
recognition.
only award in 9 states. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Insane.
Yeah.
But for you guys, 3 restaurants on the recommended list. I'm sure you knew kind of before the rest of us did when it first came out, but like leading up to it, I'm sure you don't start off saying like, hey, we want to be on the Michelin guide, but you hope over time that when you realize you have a good product and the city responds well, I'm sure there's a part of you that starts to dream and hope like, well, maybe. But to get 3 is nuts.
It is, and they're also different. And what I think is really interesting to us is none of these places and no restaurants in Charlotte, Michelin didn't exist here, so you weren't creating restaurants
Yeah.
to get a Michelin star or get on the recommended
Yeah.
list. So I think for us, it's probably most beautiful that we have 3 spots that made it on there without the intentionality of being on those
Yeah.
lists. I think it changes a little bit from here, where you kind of, restaurants that open, you want to just be mindful of certain things to see if you could get considered. But it's just an absolute honor, both for Colleen's incredible award and then the 3 recommended restaurants too.
What was that moment like for you guys at home? Like, you guys have been married 20 years, all the years in the restaurants and everything you've done. What was that?
Well, it was
This-
2 weeks before we
Yeah,
were
this-
at Leluya
this-
Hall
This is
meeting.
funny because we really stink at celebrating.
Oh, no.
We do, we're bad at it.
Yeah, and
But we were at Leluya Hall with having a meeting with some of our
Yes.
team, and John Rosenberg, who's general manager and area director over in that area, he was like, I just got an email. It was 2 weeks before the event, and we had an invitation for several of our restaurants to go.
we
And
started as soon as we got one. We were like, okay, can we check? Ever Andalo.
Ever
And then
Andalo had
Ever
got
Andalo
one.
got one, and then we
Habberdish
were like,
got
can
one.
we check that? And I couldn't get into the Habberdish email account. And I'm
So
like,
we didn't know.
And so, yeah.
But yes, so we got those 3 invites right then. And truly, we didn't know, other than that we were invited to go to the event in Greenville, which each restaurant just had, the chef was invited and they got to take one other person. So the funny thing is that Jeff was actually Chef Sam's +1. I was Colleen's +1 because it's just for the chef. So we had to kind of invite ourselves
Yeah.
onto the
No
list.
way.
Yes, because
Yeah.
it's just the chef and they get a +1, which is fine. We made our way.
Yeah.
What was incredible was we went down to Greenville with a slew of people. I mean, there were probably 14 of us total or 15 of us total that went down, but we had, it was at 8 invitations to the actual event, which
Okay.
was just incredible to have all of us there able to celebrate together, you know, the executive chefs,
Yeah.
Colleen, the 2 of us. It was just wonderful.
Congratulations. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Thanks.
No,
yeah, that's
pretty
awesome.
surreal.
yeah. for
So
sure.
you get the emails. I don't know if this is spoiling. I don't know if you can tell me. Is the email the indication that you won something, like getting the
So
invitation?
it means that you're being recognized by the
Okay.
guide. So
In some way.
Yeah,
You
in
don't- you
some-
might
in
not know
some
exactly what way.
Exactly, and yeah, so it's just a great honor, and yeah, I think what Jamie was saying too is that we never designed our places around getting a Michelin star,
Yeah.
and I think we aren't set up in that direction. I think if you ran a Michelin playbook, we would not be running that playbook. Just the way
They're often tasting menus
Yeah.
that they're
we're,
looking
we're,
for.
We're
and-
family style. We have
Yeah.
very casual service.
But at the same time, we make everything homemade. So the
fresh,
cocktail
it's
syrups
good.
are homemade. All the breads are homemade. Sauces, all that.
and yeah, it's just nice to notice that a place like Habberdish that not everybody notices, but we do a lot of farm to table
Yeah.
items on our menu. We change our menu seasonally. We do a lot of tastings, a lot of hard work to kind of put those things on and try to get the best ingredients and try to use a lot of local ingredients.
And a lot of people don't realize here in Charlotte how lucky we are to have. There's a company called Fresh List.
Yep, I'm familiar with it.
Okay, they help aggregate from local
Yeah.
farms, which makes it a lot easier for restaurants to get access to that produce, and it's easier for those farmers to be able to
Get it out.
distribute their produce. So it's been just an incredible piece of our story in terms of being able to offer those seasonal ingredients, fresh ingredients, local ingredients.
The seasonality of food is one. Okay, I gotta remember. The first person that we talked to about this was Chef Sam Dimonich, also Restaurant Constance on that list.
Yes.
And then, so we talked to him about seasonality, and then Bruce Moffat, who's been here forever doing restaurants as well, he talked about it. And it was one of those things that my wife and I started to realize. We're part of a farm share with Wild Hope Farms.
Yeah.
And it changes how we
Yes.
cook and how we do our food, because now it's like, all right, now whenever it's cold, it's like sweet potatoes. In summer, we're getting zucchini. And so the seasonality of it, when I go to a restaurant and it's not the same set menu, I'm a little brokenhearted, because that means depending on the time of year, I can't get exactly what I want.
The
but-
risotto's there.
The mushroom risotto's still there.
Look,
Yep.
as long as it's there, I'll be back. But it's cool to know that they're taking this into account and supporting local farmers, that when it's a set menu, you probably can get it from some mass production farm somewhere else. But Chef Sam, or I think it was Chef Sam, was like, yeah, we have really good sweet potatoes here because of the
Yes,
soil.
yeah,
And I'm
Carolinas.
like, really? Like, I wouldn't know that. But he's like, no, our sweet potatoes here because of the soil and the dirt.
That's where
like, ends up
everybody
being-
gets sweet potatoes around the country from us.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Carolinas. So we actually have here at Habberdish a sweet potato dumpling that we make on the menu, on the dinner menu. So it's
Okay.
not on the lunch menu, but we have that. But we also then over at Supperland, we'd use a Covington sweet potato and serve it with
Ice cream.
ice cream.
I had
was
it.
gonna
We
say.
had it. We
It may
had
sound
it.
strange, but you-
No, we had. My wife was like, she loves ice cream, and she was like, that kind of looks good. And I was like, all right.
In the South, you can serve sweets as a side. That's what
Yeah,
we
and
do.
so-
Ambrosia salad is a good example, but sweet potato with ice cream.
We use some of those staples, and that's why we have a few items that don't change
yeah.
seasonally. That the risotto is made with southern rice
Yeah.
that we get from South Carolina. So then the sweet potatoes are all local that we get. So we're able to kind of keep those items on throughout the year, and then change everything else up seasonally.
Yeah. The other question I had for you guys with the Michelin guide Is there, and I feel like I know the answer to this just talking to you guys, is there anything you change now? Like, or is it more of a like, hey team, great job, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing? Is there, you don't seem, because again, your heart for the restaurants was never, Charlotte didn't have it, so you were never chasing it. You don't seem like the people who are gonna chase it, but does it change anything in your perspective now that you've been recognized?
I think it changed, two things for us. I think one is, let's talk about some of these things that Michelin looks for.
Yeah.
That we do, and let's talk about them a little bit more. Let's talk about
So it's more of a communication thing.
the
Let people know.
seasonality and the local farms. There was kind of a movement, probably before the pandemic, where farm to table restaurants were the thing in the 2017, 18, 19, and that was what everybody talked about. But then it just got to the point where everybody should be
We were
farm
doing
to
that
table.
anyway. It was just kind
so
of
we
ubiquitous.
stopped talking about farms quite as much, and so just talking about the farms that we're using more and the relationships that we have, and then we're partners in Freshlist, that we actually invested in Freshlist, that's how much we care about the local farms and local produce, that we can be economic, put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the first step, and then the second step was realizing I think we are seasonal and we do a lot of seasonality, but we could do more, and we could make sure that we stick to the schedules and things that we have set out, and those goals that we have set out at every place, and just make sure that we're keeping up with our expectations and what we want to do.
But we really don't want to put the pressure on our chefs. Like, they do such a tremendous job doing exactly what they do. So us being in pursuit of a star is probably not a thing. None of our restaurants are set up like that. We love family style dining. We love the approachability of it. We love that people feel full and nourished when they leave.
Sure do. I was good for nothing after Supperland.
Yes,
Yeah.
we love that kind of dining. So, but they're, being on the recommended list. And Leluya Hall is a very new restaurant, so we're hopeful it will be considered next year as well. So that would be a great aim
We
for
don't
us.
really have any bonuses or anything tied to Michelin performance or any of those things. But we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing and try to. We really just try to get better. Every year, and
That's the big thing we put out to our chefs was just, can you come up with 3 things that your kitchen can get better at technique-wise that you can learn and pass on to your team? Because that makes that chef better, that makes our team better, that makes the restaurant better, and if we're getting better, that's
You're never
really,
stagnant.
Yes.
It's not like it's the mindset of never arriving, that always in constant pursuit.
Right.
For whatever, and it's just getting better. Like, it doesn't have to be, constant pursuit doesn't have to have an end goal. It's just the pursuit of
absolutely.
getting better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think you guys are doing a really good job, having eaten in a lot of your restaurants and having your donuts. That was probably the best win for me. Doing all my research about you guys, I'm like, oh shoot, they've got
The
the donuts. Okay, we got to wrap because I don't want to keep you guys here all night. Your TV show, Fork and Hammer, go check it out, PBS. What has that been like?
It's been a fun journey. It's been, not something we ever expected going into this business, but I think it's been a great way to share our team's story and put out there just how much work and passion and teamwork and care goes behind every single touch point in a restaurant. And maybe it helps people just see what it's like to, dive into a family-run restaurant and get to know the people. And
When did you start shooting it?
would have been
What's the turnaround time? How long
probably
is this?
June of 2024.
Okay.
And then it launched in October of 2025.
Okay.
And we're filming season 2 now.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
it's about a year
Okay.
of filming, and it's what is it, 5-6 full filming days per episode, so 50 or 60 8-hour
Whoa.
filming days per
We just try to
episode.
have them come along with stuff we're already doing.
But we're
so that
really
they
working.
Yeah.
We're really having meetings.
Yeah.
We're really trying to get things done. We can't spend that amount of time and not be productive.
Yeah, 50, 60 days. You said for one episode? No, for
No,
the whole season.
for the 10 episodes. Yeah.
Whoa, that is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So,
So, but our team is there. Sometimes they dive into different teammate stories, and I love
You get
that.
different arches in the series.
I
Okay.
love that because you can get to know Chef Sam, you can
Yeah.
get to know our pastry chef Savannah, and just learn about their journey, how they got
Also,
into food.
learned something about you. I thought I was seeing double at one point, and I was like, there's two of them. I'm like, what is going on here? And then I was like, went to the Instagram and tagged. I'm like, oh, there's a twin.
There's a
Yeah.
twin.
There's
a twin,
Okay,
yes.
and she is part of.
So interestingly, she was one of our first investors when we opened up Crepe Cellar. And like to this day, I'm just so grateful that, she believed in us at a time when nobody did. We didn't know what we were doing or anything. That's not why I love her, but that is, I greatly appreciate, that willingness to step
Yeah.
in and help us then. But now, yes, she runs a company out of Charleston, South Carolina. Nice to have her close by, but it's in the food business too. Hers is it's called Eat Gangster, and it's a baking mix company. And the gangster part is an acronym for all the allergens that it's free of. So it's gluten-free, additive-free, nut-free, grain-free, all the things free. And so top 14 allergen-friendly baking mix company.
Look at a shout out from the twin sister here.
I know. Well, I'm an investor in that one, so
And
you know.
when you're at Raining Donuts looking for something, healthy, we have one of her products over there. So we have a little bundt cake that you can get, and it's gluten free.
With all due respect, I'm not going to your donut place
He's
for.
coming for a bake.
No. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm sure it's delicious.
You might
but
have
if
a
I'm going-
gluten-free friend in town or a
For the
nut
friend.
allergy
You're
friend
right.
For your
in
friend.
You're
town.
right, for
Not
the
for
friend.
yourself,
Because
for
for
your
me, if
friend.
I'm going to get one of your donuts, give me all the gluten, please. Like I want all of it. So in shooting the show, has there been anything that kind of surprised you that's not maybe the most glamorous part of the shooting?
I mean, for me, you think you're just going about your day, but it actually is pretty tiring and pretty exhausting
you have to be on.
Yeah, I
to
was gonna
be
say, yeah,
on
I
and
probably have
be
to be
thoughtful about what you're saying, and
You have to smile
for-
when you just
yeah
wanna
for
sit.
for hours and hours, and I struggle a lot with the voiceovers and those kind of things.
You're getting better and better at it.
Ooh, a lot of practice, but so it really is. Yeah, it is interesting that after a day of that, you're like, ooh, I need to sit down.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and I haven't watched full episodes, but I'd imagine there's probably some situations where you're upset about something. Maybe there's a fire, a figurative fire of something going on that maybe isn't good for TV that you have to go handle and deal with and then come back and smile
Yes.
on camera.
For sure, that has definitely happened, and we try, things that anytime it involves a person, we've kind of just said to the producer, we don't want any people drama or anything because a lot of that's so personal.
Yeah.
And, when we've had opportunities in the past to potentially do some sort of like lifestyle, showcasing our team because, restaurants can have their share of drama. It was always a worry to us, the idea of sharing stories of our team, unless they were uplifting and positive and helped
Right.
bring people together. As opposed to like having, dating drama here and these
Yeah.
people yelling at each other. That stuff exists.
You're not making
But-
Vanderpump.
No.
No, and what I love about like the PBS format, public television format, is it's very much about education.
Yes.
They want to see behind the scenes. They want to get to know people. What are your passions? What's driving you? How do you go about creating a menu, setting a table? What are those things? Not about the drama. And
As
we're
a
lucky
kid,
it's been able to be
as a
that way.
kid, when PBS wasn't doing the kid shows anymore, it would drive me crazy because I'm like, this is so boring because it was like it was nothing salacious. Now as an adult, I'm like, that's probably better for us. Like we need less drama, which is why we need funded TV like that because it gives that opportunity for people to like sit back and learn and like just enjoy a television
Yes.
show that's not throwing and screaming
Well,
and all that.
it's an awesome format for us because we aren't just talking about food.
Yeah.
And we can talk about business. We can talk about our people. We can
Talk about bourbon.
We can talk about
Oh,
bourbon.
bourbon.
Yeah, it's sometimes where we're learning and sharing those learnings
Yeah.
with other people. So it's nice because we can dive into whatever we're into at the moment and share it with people. It's pretty cool.
Do you have something that you were like, I didn't realize this was going to be a part of having to do a show?
Really, it's been pretty smooth. One of the tricky things about public television is the sponsorship part. And so in the first season, we had the ETV Endowment, Trust 20, the CRVA, and Biltmore Wines as
Okay.
funders for the program. But they have to come back in order to keep
Yeah.
producing, or you have to find people
Yeah.
to fill in gaps. And so that's something, even in the first year, like we had to get out there and talk with people and meet with people. And this
Give
is
them a
not what
vision.
we do. Yeah, especially when it didn't exist, They say once you have one season under your belt, it's easier. So we're hoping as we go into
The show's doing great. If you want to be a sponsor of the show,
Yes.
you should hit us up.
Me and my podcast that makes no money at all. I mean, yeah, I'll sponsor. I'll repost it. Hey, babe, you got a couple thousand,
It's
$100,000 I can
for your
sponsor?
for your listeners out there,
Yeah.
that
Any
want to
big time
be a part
listeners that
of
want to sponsor their show.
Fork and
right.
Hammer.
Or Queen City Unleashed.
I
There we
love
go.
We're
that.
looking also. So,
I love it.
But yeah, no, I think I'm sure you guys will rack them up, the sponsors.
We'll find some people, but it's a process, and
Yeah.
it's different for us, because we're used to restaurants, and so it's kind of putting a business hat on in a different way and seeing how can we provide value to a company
Yeah.
so that they get a return on it and they feel like their name is getting out there in a really positive way.
Yeah, well, that is awesome. Like I'm excited. I again watch a lot of the clips. Me sitting down to watch TV these days is very hard to do with our schedule. But you also started a podcast, as if you needed something else. Why the podcast?
Well, I think primarily it's just like having this whole platform of communication out there, and hopefully it all can build on each other.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes.
I think we that's one
It's
of
actually been really
the
fun,
most
though.
enjoyable things that we do every week is the podcast. I think we like it, and Jamie's been gracious enough to let me talk every once in a while on it. So it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, it's been great. And when we talk about a communication platform, that's something that we certainly didn't have that at the
Yeah.
beginning. I mean, when we first opened Crepe Cellar, it was literally just Facebook, and then we added Twitter, and then over time
Yeah.
there was Instagram, and you just keep growing. And I think that's where we are now, where the Fork and Hammer programming came out, but it felt like, hey, we should have something where there's our voice kind of going into things in a more in-depth way,
Yeah.
and continue with that education stuff. And
Storytelling.
Storytelling.
That to me is the best part of this podcast. And like you guys you've got a TV show, podcast, but for me, the casual Charlotte person who like eats at your restaurants and maybe isn't following your social media pages so doesn't see it, it's like, hey, here's some really interesting people behind the food and restaurants that you love. You get to know them. And like that's the storytelling piece that I think we need more of, and done the right way, that it doesn't need to be the drama, because to me, good stories sell by themselves. Like there doesn't
Yes.
always have to be this spicy, what are they? Someone, I was reaching out to someone to interview, and they're like, so what kind of questions are you asking? This is like clickbaity. I was like, no. I said, this is,
getting
trust me,
to
if I
know
wanted it to be
people.
viral, I'd make it clickbaity. I said, because that's how things go. It's like, but no, like I really just want to get to know people and their stories and people like
Yeah.
you guys. So
yeah.
you're doing a podcast is there a skill that you've learned where you used to hosting or asking people questions?
I've loved it because we can let the other person talk a lot. We can dive into F&B and food and beverage in a whole lot of different angles. Like we've had anybody from a pastry chef on there to somebody who works for a nonprofit called Giving Kitchen that helps food service workers
Okay.
in crisis, to one of our architects on there to talk about the build out of restaurants. And so I think there's so many different ways you can talk about it, and it's just kind of looking at hospitality and restaurants, from all those different angles.
Well, you heard it, Jeff and Jamie Feed.
Feed.
Yes, Jeff and Jamie
Thank you.
Feed. Spotify, Apple, all the things.
YouTube. Yeah, we got video and audio.
Okay.
We do it all.
Okay. Not often. Again, I've said this before. We don't plug a lot of podcasts, but we absolutely will
You're so
plug.
sweet.
No, seriously, because I think that's fun. Like, if you want to know more about the industry, like, why not? Like, listen to two people who are doing it at the highest level in our city. To wrap, your hope for what you're doing in Charlotte.
I mean, I think we talk about this a lot of, elevating Charlotte, elevating the food scene here, making it the city of hospitality, I think is a big goal of ours.
I think I often think about the word impact, and I think it's whatever that might look like, that if it's moving a building, if it's creating jobs, if it's elevating the food scene, it's having impact. One of the things I'm excited about in the new year is that I'll say but also we have a book coming out. It's called 11 Tables.
Okay.
And it's based on our story of opening restaurants, and it tells you highs and lows and ins and outs of what we've gone through. You can see that it's not always shiny.
Yeah.
There was lots of things that were up and down. It's that storytelling piece you were
Yeah.
talking about, and again, it's that impact piece that reaching people in a different way and telling your story that hopefully it uplifts and inspires people to look at their life in a way that they can maybe start crafting and carving their life that brings them joy and happiness in their own lives.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Jamie did an awesome job putting that together.
It's written by Jamie A. Brown with Jeff Tonidandel.
Yeah, I get a whiff on there, and you can pre-order it on Amazon.
Okay.
Now, yeah. Jamie A. Brown.
A mentor of mine asked me years ago, he's like, how would you define impact or success? And this was years ago, and I still stand by this. And by my definition, you guys are having a massive impact. But impact for me or success was like the number of lives I'm able to positively make a difference in. And at that point, it was like 10 years from now. And so in my mind, positively make a difference in.
That's beautiful.
Whether it is your restaurants, the families that you employ, the people you employ and what they're able to do for their families, your show, your podcast, the people you get to help tell their stories. That's a lot of people that you guys are positively making a difference in their lives. And then Charlotte, the people that you feed, the thousands of people that are in your restaurants every single day throughout the year, positively making a difference in their lives. So by my definition of impact, you guys are making a lot of it.
I think I'm going to adopt your definition
Yeah,
because you'll make
we'll
me
take
feel better
that.
about myself too. I love that.
No,
Thank
but
you.
seriously, I hope you guys find some time to celebrate the successes and the wins. I appreciate you guys. This has been one of the ones that I'm like, if I can get them on a podcast, this is going to be awesome.
Oh,
And this
we're
has
so
been-
glad to do
this
this.
has
It was
been so
such a
fun.
pleasure. You're
Thank
so
you.
lovely to talk with, and we're
Thank
just
you.
grateful
Thank
to
you.
be on here.
Okay, I'm going to get through their 6. I think I can do this. In NoDa, we're here at Habberdish, Raining Donuts, Growlers,
Poorhouse.
Ever Andalo, and then Supperland, Luluya Hall, and Wyatt's Fine Grains.
Super fine.
Super fine, coming soon. But thank you guys so much. This has
Thank
been so
you.
much fun, and I appreciate it. And please make sure you continue to watch our NoDa series. Check them out. Come eat here, of course. But enjoy the series, share it with someone, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.